The 70s were wild, man. I'll never stop saying it. Like, fashion was chunky and baggy. Avocado and ochre were summer colors. Jonathan Livingston Seagull was a bestseller. People were out here breathing Coke, drinking Tab, and making macrame. But the most deranged pop cultural trend of the 1970s to me was the variety show. We just don't have anything like it these days, or at least not in that volume. We do have talk shows, of course, that have a host and interviews and sometimes sketches and always musical guests, but a variety show is always on its feet. It's a series of acts and sketches and songs, no desks, no rest. The Carol Burnett Show and Laugh-In, both legendary. Of course, stalwarts like the Dean Martin, Andy Williams, and Lawrence Welk shows were still kicking around in the 70s. But they were also out there just giving variety shows to Don Knotts, Jim Neighbors, and freaking Hee Haw, a redneck themed sketch parade that, if nothing else, made Buck Owens a household name. It's not really like variety shows that are strange to me, though. It's the level of variety show that we achieved. Shields and Yarnell were and listen closely to this sentence. Shields and Yarnell were a highly popular married mime act who got their own primetime variety show in the 70s. The Japanese musical duo Pink Lady got one, and they didn't even speak English. They had to phonetically memorize their comedic lines. The Harlem Globetrotters had a variety hour, and eventually, because it was the only place left to go with the genre, we got to goddamn puppets. The Banana Splits Show, the Croft Super Show, and of course, the Muppets. God bless the 70s for their appreciation of Quaaludes and macaroni art, because that unhinged culture gave us the greatest variety show of all time. And while I truly love the Muppets, I still can't quite fathom an era where people loved puppets enough to watch ventriloquists. Yet here we are with the 1978 drama Magic, starring a young Hannibal Lecter as a schizophrenic Buffalo Bob. And according to the logic of the time, the networks are only interested when he adds a damned dummy to his magic act. Oh, the 1970s. Thankfully, the 80s came along and saved us with totally normal music, fashion, taste, and politics. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
I mean, I'm just going to ask, like, who's your favorite Muppet or
Oh,
adjacent Jim Henson design
oh
character?
my. I mean, Janice has always had a real
Yes,
strong place in my heart.
absolutely.
Just because I was I grew up with my parents' record collection, was kind of my first introduction to music, and Janis Joplin was like one of the seminal records that I played an awful lot. So like that was that. Oh man, yeah, Janice is top tier. I don't this I mean Statler and Waldorf, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because they're so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
They're like their jokes are on fire every time. And just their place as the like, why do these two old men come to this show that they hate every single week
Queer
just to make
icons,
fun of it?
honestly. Yeah,
Like like that's amazing to me.
absolutely.
Like that is a level of understanding camp
Uh-huh.
that, like you said, queer icons.
My favorite Muppet movie of all time is The Great Muppet Caper, just hands down. And I think because it has two of my favorite lines from like secondary, tertiary characters, and one is with Animal, just a legend.
Oh,
Um,
core. Yeah.
but it's when Kermit and the gang arrive at the hotel and Animal's going crazy, and Floyd has to explain to Kermit. He's like, "Oh, well, he's just mad because he missed the Rembrandt exhibit at the museum." And Animal in the background just screams Renoir.
Oh my
So I
God.
love that. And two,
Yes.
deep cut character Lou Zealand, the one with
Oh.
the big ruffle around his neck who throws the
Oh yeah.
boomerang fish.
Yes.
When they're trying to figure out how to climb down
He's kind of like
into,
he's like Gonzo's kind of like antithesis, right?
I think so, yeah, yeah, and he's that's it. That's his whole act, and he's got a funny
Yeah.
voice. But they're all trying to figure out how to climb down through the window at the top of the museum that they're going to steal the baseball diamond from.
Okay.
And they're like, we don't know how to climb down there. And then just Lou Zealand just whips in from camera left and just goes, "I brought the paper towels." And it's just a long beat. And that joke has sat with me my whole life. I've always been chasing that
That
high.
explains a lot. That explains an awful lot.
So there it is. okay, I watched this movie, and I was just telling you right before we started the recording. I'm always obsessed with these films that have A-list directors and or stars that no one has ever heard of. And I'd never
Hmm.
heard of this movie till you brought it to the dice grid a couple years ago. And this is Richard Attenborough.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Oscar winner for directing Gandhi, but also
Hmm.
famous actor that most people will
Sure.
know as John Hammond from Jurassic Park,
Of course.
among many, many other things, and brother of David Attenborough, famous nature documentary
Yep.
voice. Yeah.
Planet Earth.
And we've got
This
Anthony
movie's
Hopkins and Anne Margaret.
and Margaret. I mean, Burgess Meredith,
Burgess
and
Meredith,
written by arguably like one of the greatest screenwriters ever.
William Goldman.
Yeah, which I would like to say I totally I was doing some like Google researching last night, and I somewhere along the way I forgot William Goldman and I put in William Golding, and trying to find William Golding magic just blew the internet's mind. They were like, "Don't you mean Lord of the Flies?" I'm like, "No, Magic. He wrote a book called Magic." No, the AI had to correct me.
Oh no. Oh
I
no.
know. I felt bad. So it was interesting. This movie apparently was very much like a stepping stone project for a lot of these people.
Interesting.
Like, like Attenborough only did this movie so he could get financing to make Gandhi.
Okay. All right.
And this movie was actually like every great, the kind of the 70s method greats, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman were all kind of considered. Even Gene Wilder was considered for this role. So this was like a hot topic in Hollywood in like 1977.
Uh-huh.
And then I think somehow it ended up like being watered down and watered down. And then it came to this, and this movie, upon second watching, I've only seen this movie twice. I loved this movie when I first saw it because I think it's really like an actor's movie. Like it is driven, like this could be a fucking play.
Hmm.
It is pretty much limited location. It relies heavily upon the acting chops of like four actors.
Yeah.
And I think it came out, and I think it was just a little too slow for people, you
Yeah,
know?
it's a little slow and it's very weird.
Yes.
Like I mean, it's not complicated. It's just a little off.
Yeah,
It also doesn't quite fit a genre,
that's
right?
true as well.
It's a little bit of the classic it's got a Romeo and Juliet like romantic comedy turned tragic arc
Yep.
to it. The misunderstandings of people.
Mhm.
It's also got a very like Sybil like paranoid schizophrenia sort
Yep.
of
Yep. Yep.
vibe
Yep.
happening, that it turns out that you are the villain all along. The voice you
Mhm.
hear isn't real. Harvey or whatever. Some kind of
But it's not
imaginary
it's not
friend.
like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer
No.
level. Like we're supposed to like feel for this guy
Hmm.
who is his own worst enemy.
Yes. And the enemy of many other people. And it's
Yeah, true
also,
that.
and it's not quite, we're not in the era yet, but we're 10 years removed from Child's Play, but it's not quite
Yes.
that either.
It's not camp, it's not, B movie.
No. So,
Oh, Laurence Olivier was supposed to play Burgess Meredith's part.
wow.
So like I think I think the DNA was just a little like little haphazard there. And I
Yeah.
think it just got shuffled under the carpet a bit.
Yeah, it's just one of those films that just kind of falls through the cracks. Like
Mhm.
it's in its time is one of those movies that somebody went to go see Magic. How was it? It's good. And then it just kind of dies right
Exactly.
there.
Exactly that. They're like, it was weird, but it was good.
Yeah. And then they have nothing else to say. And then
Yeah.
you're like, all right, well, see you later.
How about that Iran Contra scandal?
Yeah, how about that? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
You
I
go
don't know. I
first.
really don't know enough about that at all.
But it is good. It's a good movie. I
Yeah.
think it's still actually it's dealing with some really interesting like 21st century things too about mental health. I
Yep.
just thought about it's an overused line and it's not I'll say it anyway, which is like men will do XYZ rather than going to therapy.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
That sort of bit. I'm not here to tell you that therapy is the end all be all to self help, but this is a
It's a
man.
first step.
It is a really good step, though. Um, this is a man who is aware of the harm he's doing to himself and others, but cannot bring himself to name the problem, is basically what this movie, the core problem in this film.
Yeah. I also think this movie has a lot of what we know about like addiction
Hmm.
is fascinating to me, especially in the scene with like Corky and Ben Green.
Yeah.
Like, and this is kind of coming out of the era of sort of like AA, like NA, Al-Anon, like sort of all that sort of thing of like starting to treat addiction as a disease rather than or as a, rather than a whatever it, I don't know,
Yeah.
shock therapy or just shame it out of you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this idea of like how that is handled of like um this prop
Hmm.
that you have set up in your life in order to exist,
Yeah.
one, and to succeed, that people love you for it, is not serving you mentally, is fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this on a previous show, which is in the 21st century, we talk a lot these days, especially in horror movies, about the trauma narrative,
Sure.
about like how did so and
Yeah.
so get to be like this.
Yeah.
And I think prior to the 21st century, we had a lot of horror movies that were about the addiction narrative. Like it's always a
Sure.
metaphor for addiction, not
Yeah.
trauma. It's not like something happened early on to cause you to be like this.
Right, right, right.
It's not that early childhood that still it's not early childhood that haunts you. It is something you have chosen to do as an adult. I've chosen to become addicted because that's clearly a choice.
In all those flashbacks when he goes upstate, I kept waiting for, like he's a foster kid in a abusive home. He had a something. No, it's nope. He had a really nice childhood.
Yeah, his family seemed to have passed away,
Yeah,
and maybe his if he has siblings, they're not around
they're
anymore.
not too close.
No.
He also seemed like a pretty introverted kid to begin with.
Yep. And yeah, he from the get go he exhibits a lot of uh, at best the best way I could say is like neuroatypical, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
and but he yeah he is schizophrenic is basically what this movie is.
The schizophrenic. Also was it personality dissociative?
Uh-huh.
Where you're like, this other person lives inside me.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so this opening shot, love a good thematic opening shot, which is the camera panning the walls
Yep.
of this apartment.
Interior. Show me an interior that represents the interior lives of a character.
Yeah.
It's obsessed with the past,
Hmm.
tradition, and it's messy as fuck, and
Yeah.
it's kind of shabby.
Yeah. And also I like how it starts with all of the magic posters and memorabilia, that obsession with the past, and it's cluttered but in a really compelling way, like
Sure.
a
Interesting.
bohemian chic sort
Hmm.
of thing.
Hmm.
But as the camera keeps panning across the apartment, you start to see dishes
Yeah.
and you start to
The
see
can of
just
Raid.
a can of
You know,
Raid. Yeah, just dust on things. It's just dirty. It's a dirty apartment. And I thought this was his father. There's an old man uh, who is sick,
hmm
and Corky, played by Anthony Hopkins, is coming home from an amateur night, like open mic night. But he's coming home to take care of this old man. I think we infer later that this is Merlin,
Yes.
who was another previously not famous but well known, I guess, in the magic
He
circles.
was on a circuit.
Yeah,
As Burgess Meredith said in this, like, I lived through Tallulah Bankhead and the death of vaudeville. Don't fuck with me.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like magician, ventriloquist, these were part of the variety act X post vaudeville circuit.
hmm
Where you're like, no, I got my tight seven
Yeah.
of card tricks. I don't know,
Yeah.
rings,
Yep.
rabbits, hats,
Um, yeah. Disappearing coins and things like
disappearing,
that.
all that.
Yeah. It becomes clear in this conversation that Corky is his,
Protege,
he's yeah,
right?
protege, his apprentice. He's learned a lot from this man, and also that Corky has the ability to do all of the tricks well. However, he's never been taught stage presence
Yeah.
or how to be in front of an audience.
He's the and literally he keeps repeating this line. He's like, I did everything right.
Yes.
I executed one, step two, step three, step four, and step five should
Uh-huh.
equal applause and adoration.
This is where I immediately thought about movies like Taxi Driver and
Hmm.
Joker, even, right? Like that you
Sure.
start talking about men who, particularly with men, which is that you feel entitled to something because you did all of the right things. I have bought her flowers. I have said nice things. I have complimented. I asked her about her mother, and yet she will not sleep with me.
Yeah.
And there is that type of, we say toxic masculinity, but there is that thing where you're not actually engaging. You're doing a rubric to
Yeah.
get a good grade on something,
Hmm.
but that's not what people respond to. People respond to conversation and honesty and sincerity.
And like from the minute you're seeing, and you're sort of seeing him spliced. It's like a cut back and forth
Hmm.
with him describing the night and then seeing the night as it's happening,
Uh-huh.
which is like, oh, it's so good, but it's so fucking tragic, Jeffrey.
It's
It's
so
so, because
uncomfortable.
pretty soon into the story, he's like, I got up there, I did the floating ace. I started with a little shuffle just to get their attention. Everyone was wrapped with attention, and you're cutting back to bored people talking
Nowhere
to
near the
themselves,
stage.
nowhere near the stage. It's like half empty. And there's this woman who, like a party of four or five, and this woman who just keeps laughing, like cackle laughing at something her friend is saying to her
Uh-huh.
throughout the entire thing, like a fucking tea kettle that's about ready to blow.
And so I love the three levels of this story because one, he's telling Merlin the story, and then we start getting the cutbacks, as you just
Hmm.
mentioned, showing, oh, he's sort of lying because he's saying things like, yeah, the lift worked great and everyone laughed like crazy,
Yeah,
but then you're cutting to people laughing, but not at anything he's doing.
not
And
at
then
him.
and then the third level is I did kind of screw up at the end, and he screams, "Pay attention, you stupid sons of bitches."
This trick took 10,000 hours of my life.
Yeah.
It's that thing of like, if I practice this really, which listen, absolutely, your time is worth something to practice something so hard to become a master at it. But those people don't owe you shit.
No.
That's the thing
Uh-huh.
about entertainment is that they paid their money. That's all they owe you.
That's very true. Any any touring musician, solo musician, or stand-up comic will tell you,
Yeah.
yes, that's totally correct. Nobody owes you anything. You have to earn it from them that night. Uh Merlin tells him, you better find yourself some charm, kid, if you want to be as good as the game.
He looks
That
befuddled. He just looks so confused. Like, charm? Where do I buy that? What book,
how do I teach myself that?
what book do I learn that in?
Yeah.
What artifact of the past do I have to acquire
Yep.
to give me charm?
So then we're going to just jump right ahead. The movie
This
just
is
goes
crazy.
right on ahead
Like,
to big
it's just
nightclub.
like, I guess a year later,
Yeah.
2 years later, something like that.
There's hold on just a second. Robert's fun game is to stand next to the litter box and just start pulling it all out like he's hiking
Oh,
football.
Oh,
And
fun.
so I
I
just
say he's just screaming at the litter box.
basically just
Oh,
because he knows I'll come over and be like, please leave.
I'm like, stop.
I don't say please. Okay. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we assume like a year later through the course of the scene, it's at this nightclub. I couldn't tell if it was the same one or a
It's
different.
the same
Same.
nightclub
Okay,
because
but it's
again, we're already starting to see some like he's a little bit obsessive.
uh-huh.
And we get that when we meet Ben Green and he's like I can't get this kid out of here. He only plays this place because he had a bomb here a few years ago, and now he's like, I'm gonna make this nightclub my bitch.
Yeah.
And he's like kind of single focused on this place where he had his breakdown, where he had his epiphany. But now his like fucking photo is on every single poster outside. It's sold out.
Uh-huh.
I love good crowd scene in 70s films.
Oh my God.
When you were talking about like why the 70s were wild, it's sort of the breakdown of the Hollywood studio system meant that there were a lot of people who were kind of trained in that system and then it kind of evaporated,
Mm-hmm.
fell apart. And then those people began making movies without the constraint of the Hollywood studio system. So it's like you get a lot of these amazing 70s street scenes
Yeah.
because people were like, what if we made movies outside, not on Hollywood sets?
Yep.
If we just need a New York club, here we go. We just go here. And you get like amazing extras and just, I don't know, the fashion. And I think that's why a lot of 70s movies, especially New York movies, are really vibrant like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And this one definitely feels like that new generation of filmmaking from the 60s and 70s.
Which is so funny because we're talking about like Sir Richard Attenborough. That's a
Right,
new
right.
generation of filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean the people that came out of that era, it's like Martin Scorsese, right? And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just legends of film, but yeah, somebody had to sort of break the mold. But we're gonna meet George Todson, who's basically a talent person at NBC.
Yeah,
He's a scout, he's an executive, he's a green lighter of TV shows.
sure.
And he's friends with Ben Green, played by Burgess Meredith, who
I love it.
I love Burgess Meredith here.
Like,
He he very much looks like a Sopranos character.
sure.
Like he
Yeah.
looks evil, tough. He's
Hmm.
bald. He's elderly. He's got
He's
a
got the big wide suit.
big wide suit, big long cigar.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
about him seems very intimidating.
Yeah.
Although he's really like heart of gold guy in this movie
Yeah.
for an
It's
agent.
I mean like but that's the thing. He I mean he even said his nickname is the postman because he always delivers.
Uh-huh.
And it's this sort of like no matter what, he's the guy who will find a way.
Yeah.
Whether that's intimidation, whether that's bringing more lawyers, whether it's having a heart to heart. Like he's not a bad person. He just whatever he's like what's the character from Pulp Fiction? He's like the wolf that you
Yeah.
like you call this guy in last minute emergency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think he also represents somebody from an older school
Yeah.
of Hollywood that
Yeah.
an agent who went out, sought out talent, got that talent. Here's my card. I'm going to get you into this. I'm going to help you do this because it's the hustle. It's the
Yeah.
if I sell you, that's how I make my bank.
Yeah. And I think it's also interesting his pitch on how to become famous
Hmm.
is again like a rubric.
Yeah.
It's like you play small clubs. You start to get, oh, you have a thing. We invite people in. They say, that's a cool thing. Now I'm going to send you to Las Vegas
Hmm.
just to get a chance to like touchstone with the crossroads of America. Then we have you do that. Then we put you on the Johnny Carson show. And if Johnny Carson invites you over or invites you back, then you get greenlit to the next level. And now
Now
you're
you
super
can do New
famous.
York. Now you can do LA.
And
Yeah.
if I have lunch with you at the Four Seasons, you have hit the next gate.
It's so good. I love it's if you find yourself having a free lunch with me at the Four Seasons, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's so good. But Ben is pitching George from NBC on, he's like, there's never been a magician like this guy. And, George is like, I can't sell magic. Like,
He's like a
nobody wants to
mad
watch his
magician.
magic.
Come on. How
And
old fashioned.
and then the act starts again, a great misdirect, a great magic
Yeah.
misdirect, because the act starts the same way the other act did. But he's bad at it. But then comes a heckler. Hey, Schmucko!
Schmucko.
Schmucko is great. And then he goes to confront the heckler, and it turns out it's the wooden dummy, Fats. And so now he has a whole ventriloquist act of the dummy, who's his own heckler, but
Yeah.
also does the card tricks with him.
And and here the dummy is the sort of the insult comic.
Yeah,
He
tell him all about your sex life. Everyone loves a short story.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like again, like sort of a so like the I love the ideas like two old-fashioned acts put together equals new innovative acts, which also just kind of and you see over the course of his act, the executive is kind of like I was like okay, oh well, that was actually kind of funny. Oh my God! And then he has Fats do a magic trick, which seems impossible. Like how did I make this card? It's been in the dummy's hand the whole time. And now the NBC executive is like, wait, I actually like magic. So the idea is like two old-fashioned flavors put together makes something completely palatable and new.
Yeah. And the type of card magic we had seen him do so far is all small. It's all tiny
Yeah.
things. It's the flying ace or whatever they
Yeah,
call it.
yeah.
It's just the ace coming out of the deck without him touching it. And I'm like, that's cool for close-up magic,
Sure.
but that's not what being on a stage, it's hard to do close-up magic at the fucking Bell House or wherever he is,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, so this kind of, turns George from NBC, gets him interested, and again, jump right ahead, next level of fame. We are meeting for lunch at the Four Seasons with Ben.
This one is a little telegraphed because, Burgess Meredith says backstage, he's like, we're going to do this for 6 months. So we
Yep.
kind of like, we're like, oh, well, but we never see the work. We
No.
never see the tedium. We never see the repetition. It's always just like, boom, he hits a gate. He has an epiphany. Boom, next
Yep.
gate.
Yeah.
Here we are at the Four Seasons where
I do want to
Ben Gre-
backtrack
Go ahead.
one quick thing that I skipped ahead on that I think is so important. George comes backstage to meet Corky,
Yes.
and this is where we see we're not on stage anymore, and Fats is still talking.
Yeah.
He is part of
The
the
routine-
conversation.
The routine continues off stage.
Mm-hmm.
And people love it. Like the fact that he calls Ben Green gangrene, like Fats calls him gangrene. He's like, oh, gangrene, because nobody, like as we said, like Ben Green is like tough guy. Nobody
Oh,
makes
yeah.
fun of this guy,
Yeah.
but the dummy can.
Yeah. And because Corky doesn't, for people he doesn't have to interact with,
Oh, I love it.
except for fans or except for
Yeah.
people who come to his show, you can really entertain people with your psychosis,
Yeah.
basically, because they don't really have to get deep into you. They don't have to care about you, and you don't have to care about them. You just have to put on the show.
The attention is always moved just to the left of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I kind of see it as like a weird parallel to being like drop dead gorgeous.
Interesting.
Like where you're like the equivalent would be is if you're model gorgeous, where people are always kind of focused on that exterior and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
But you're always kind of like, well, is it that, or are they interested in me? Are they talking to me? This is like the interior version of that.
Yeah. Well, cut back to we're up in the Four Seasons, and NBC wants a pilot. Great news. Here, have a cigar. Have another cigar. And Corky realizes in this conversation of the paperwork and everything he has to do, he has to go through a medical exam. I'm not doing that on principle.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
this
not
is
getting
it's
the
like he,
vaccine.
I know. Well, it's like he doesn't specify what kind of medical exam. Like, is it like doctor of medical, like, like to see if you're healthy enough, like you have a heart condition, or if it's psychological.
Yeah.
And Corky shuts that, doesn't even ask a follow-up question.
No.
What kind of medical exam?
And it's so funny because you would assume it's a physical
Yeah,
because, I mean, I would assume it's a physical because they're going to
yeah,
put insurance on
yeah.
you. Yeah. Anyways.
Because they
Yeah.
want to
And
invest the next 7 years of their TV programming into your health. It might be psychological, but honestly, let's be real here.
yeah.
This is an industry that runs on putting damaged people
Uh-huh.
into the spotlight and exploiting their damage to make better art.
Yes. But Ben tries his damnedest to get him out of that, but he's like, listen, it is legal policy there. They cannot sign
Yeah.
you unless you do all of the legally required things, which a medical exam is it. And he tells Corky, Corky is upset, and he says, listen, but you want success, Corky, but you're afraid of it. You're
Yeah.
afraid of being successful. It happens. I totally know this. I've seen it in people. And Corky flips out, gets in a cab, and has him drive upstate.
Yeah. Well, Ben tries a couple. He's like, what if I got some lawyers? No, the lawyers don't work.
Yeah.
He's like, what if I saw? Nope. Stay at your, nope. Corky's out of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like he packs fats and like a change of underwear. And he gets
Yeah.
in a taxi and has that taxi drive him to the Catskills
This is an $80
for
cab ride
$80.
in 1978. That is a
How
big
much
cab bill. Yeah.
how much would that cost today? That'd be like what, 2.5 hours to the Catskills? 3 hours?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I live in Brooklyn, and if I try and take a cab to the airport, it's like 70. It's, so I can't even imagine what it's going to be to drive 50 Catskills 90 miles easy just to get to the base of the Catskills from New York City. Woof. Anyways, he pays him a lot of money. Pays him a
Yeah.
lot of money for the ride and for I want you to keep
Discretion.
quiet. Yeah, you never drove me up here.
This is also where we see this interaction is important because even though we have these jumps in time, we also, it's how people react to Corky is how we kind of understand where he's at in his life.
Uh-huh.
So the cab driver recognizes him from the Johnny Carson show. He's like, all those times you were on the, so we know the formula worked.
Yeah.
People reckon he's not like a household name, but this guy's like, you look like yourself.
Yeah. Love
You
that line.
look like yourself. Hey, I'm kind of funny. You should get me, you should introduce me to your famous, I want to be famous. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not really how that works, but all right.
So he has him drive by his old family home. And
Yep.
this is a rough area of the
Yeah.
Catskills. Like it's and we'll learn a little bit here that the Catskills, again, when we talk about an older era of entertainment, the Catskills were of an early to mid-century time where New York City comics would summer in the Catskills, and it
It's
was your
Dirty Dancing. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
There
Dirty
you go.
Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. We know Dirty Dancing, and it was just your classic like Jackie Mason, Meshuggah
Hmm.
Comics doing their stuff up there, and it was that's what it was known for.
Yeah.
And in the 70s, all that has gone away, and the Catskills are looking bleak.
Yeah.
So no one's even living in his old house.
Oh yeah. It's like, it's not condemned. It's for sale, but clearly nobody's interested,
Yep.
boarded up. And I love this sort of like, we're already starting to see how Corky's reality is porous
Hmm.
at best.
Yeah.
So like he's looking out the window and then all of a sudden it's a memory.
Yeah.
But the cab is like it doesn't specifically say, I don't know, it's like he's living in the memory is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. But then he goes to there's a house like with adjacent out homes and cabins that for rent, and he's like, I'm here to get rent. She's like, we're closed.
Yeah,
He's like, $50 a night. I'll pay in advance. She's like, well, we just reopened.
we just opened.
And this is Anne Margaret playing Peggy Ann Snow. Is that her name?
Yeah, that's it. Peggy.
Peggy Snow is lovely. Peg.
You know nothing about pegging and snow. The slow reveal of Anne Margaret is really interesting because they have this meeting. She's through a window, so you don't really see her at first.
Hmm.
And then she's kind of like, she's got her hair under her hat, and she's like wearing jeans and an old slouchy sweater. And she kind of gives him the key. She's like, this is it.
Hmm.
Kitchen through there, bathroom through there, later. And she walks away. You barely even see her face.
Yeah.
And Corky says to Fats, he's like, she didn't recognize me. Cut to her back in her room, and she's taking off her hat, and she's like, we actually see her for the first time. And we're like, oh, it's fucking Anne Margaret.
Yeah.
And she's like, he didn't recognize me.
Oh, meet cute.
I know.
I'm very excited for this romantic comedy that will ensue.
It'll be fine. Everything will work out really well for them, I think.
Oh my God. Well, uh, he finally comes to her main house and he's brought Fats with him.
He needs that crutch.
He
He needs
does.
that social crutch.
And Fats, as we'll see over and over in this movie, is an icebreaker for people.
Yeah,
And that's really nice when it's the executive from NBC who
sure.
just is going to be in there for 45 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Or as we determine later, Ben is like, I want you to go 5 minutes without
Oh,
Fats
God.
talking. And it's true. I mean, like you can win people over with a magic trick of
Yeah.
personality. But when you have to carry on a long relationship, you have to be a real person. You
Just
have to be
strip
vulnerable.
those layers away.
Yeah.
He does a
And
good job. He does a really good job at first. Now, it's important to remember he is running away from something.
mhm,
Again, back to this idea of like people in crisis and addiction and whatever that are like, maybe if I just move, if I leave my
yep.
situation, I'll be a-okay. And then you realize, oh no, I took my baggage with me wherever I go.
It's not the house that has the baggage. Yeah.
Right. And then you get to, you're like, oh, this girl, she's gonna fix me.
Yeah.
And he does real good for like a day. But we see them kind of having, okay, like okay, you remember me. Oh, and then she loves Fats.
Hmm.
Again, she's charmed, and it's fucking Anne Margaret. So she's like, she just exudes like sexy confidence is I
Yeah.
mean, the only way to describe it. Like when she laughs with her whole fucking soul.
Yeah.
Anne Margaret does. Hard intoxicating.
Hmm.
Which is so interesting paired with this sort of like quirky, sort of introverted, quiet, she's going to be his new Fats.
Hmm. I I'm gonna change my dating profile to say looking for a woman to fix me.
That's it.
See
Oh,
if I get
I
more
think that'll
hits.
do really well.
Okay, so yeah, and you're right. He does start pretty well. They have some interesting conversations of reconnecting that they remember each
Hmm.
other, that he had such a crush on her. He does learn from her that she married Duke, who they both went to school with. And Duke, they just kind of have a kind of lifeless marriage.
Yeah.
Duke is, again, away on business,
Yeah.
and it gets her crying. But also, he is talking to her about he probably is afraid of success, which is why he's
Yeah.
running from the city. And so, yeah, so we're getting into the like, maybe we can both heal each other.
I'm being vulnerable and expressing my situation to you
Hmm.
without gloss. You're this. She's doing the same.
Yep.
Let's go to Paris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's distract ourselves even more and not live in the real world.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and she talks about the Catskills are dying and they'd
Yeah.
love to sell, but just don't know if they could get anyone to
Nobody's
buy.
buying a 50-acre albatross.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a friend way back when I lived in Western Mass, who owned a condo that she had rented in up in Maine, and she'd been
Mhm.
renting it out, and and she'd been and then renting herself in Northampton, and she after like kind of the 2008 financial
Oh
crash
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
real estate bubble bursting and
Yeah.
everything, she couldn't fill that apartment. Is like I can't even sell it, so I actually
Oh
have to
damn.
move to Maine. I have to move back
Wow.
to Maine to live there because I can't get renters or whatever. Yeah, and so it's that type of scaring that you really can be trapped in a space like
Sure.
that, and that conveys really well here.
And it's gorgeous. Like, don't get me wrong, this house is beautiful,
Uh huh.
but it's I think trapped is a good word. Like it's really when Corky's like, "Oh, does Duke still look like James Dean?" And she's like, "Oh,
Well,
no."
I'm like, Peg, if you can just hold on for 32 years, there's going to be a pandemic. And I'm sorry, 42 years, just
Mhm.
42 years, there'll be a pandemic, and real estate in the Catskills is going to skyrocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Just hook up that Wi-Fi, work from home.
Okay, so when he goes back to his room, Fats is just sitting there. And this is the horror in this movie is entirely based around this
Oh
fucking
my
dummy.
God. Yeah, should we talk about fats for a minute? Because
Yeah, I
this
think we
is
need to get into what
it's
Fats looks like.
like it's one, they made him to look like Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, like grotesque Anthony Hopkins.
Um, and he wears pretty normal-ish clothes, if not a little stylish, compared to Corky, who wears literally like the most muted, and it's the 70s, so it's, take
Yeah.
this with a grain of salt. But like Corky doesn't, he's not a fashionista, but Fats is like a little stylish.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's this other persona that can say anything, that can do anything, that can wear anything, that can like light up a room is all just put over there. But like you said, the horror in this movie doesn't really start until Fats begins to feel a little neglected
Uh-huh.
by Corky's relationship with Peggy.
I want to note that Anthony Hopkins speaks like Anthony Hopkins in this movie, which
Oh,
is very
sure.
funny. It's like no Catskill accent I've ever heard. Like Catskills, North England? I'm
Well,
not.
no. They say he's from England. Like
Oh, I
like
missed
it's
that
in a
entirely.
throwaway line. Like Ben's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like from England, but he like grew up with a foster family in
Missed
upstate
that.
New York. He
Gotcha.
like came down here to work for some health spa or something. But it's like it's all very sort of so maybe this is about generational trauma. I don't know. Something forced him to move to America. He's like this little orphan from England, like Oliver Twist,
Uh-huh.
who realized that he could whittle
Uh-huh.
and wants to do magic. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so that maybe connects why he's with Merlin and his
Hmm.
wife and learning magic and doing all of that. So, yes. Um, but he does the voice. Anthony Hopkins also does the voice of
Yeah.
Fats, which I think is just done through ADR. I don't think he's doing any ventriloquism in
No,
scene.
he did.
He did.
I
Whoa.
looked up videos. There's like because they did the talk show circuit, and it's really interesting. So they gave him fats, they made fats, they gave it to him to practice with. Apparently, he had it for like 12 hours, 24 hours, and it creeped him out so much. He called the director and was like, "You need to take this away from me, or else I'm going to throw it into the ocean because it's freaking me out."
Uh,
But he's manipulating fats. Like Anthony Hopkins is doing all the like eyebrow and the talking,
okay.
and they hired an actual ventriloquist to teach him ventriloquism. And so like it was kind of his shtick. Anthony Hopkins was to go on these talk shows, and he like did the thing where he put the pencil in his mouth and he learned to do the alphabet. And then you learn to like replace your B's with D's. And so there are scenes where you can see his
Yeah.
vocal cords moving.
Uh-huh.
Not all the time. I think you're right. I think in order to get the vocal clarity of
Yeah.
Fats, it's dubbed. But I think for the majority of scenes, he is performing in some capacity both characters.
Fascinating. Wow. Good job, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Well, Fats is just sitting in a chair when Corky gets back and he says, "Was you thinking about her?" And he's got this real gritty New Yorkie
Yeah,
accent.
yeah, yeah.
Fats does. Uh so
Yes,
he's
like
out. Oh
like
yeah.
Corky has to lock himself in the bathroom to have a private thought about Anne.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing? What are you doing in there?" He's like, "I'm just trying to pee." And he's like, "Oh, with the door closed. Fancy." This idea that we share everything. Oh my gosh, you want to have a private, kind of like a teenager,
Uh-huh.
you know, is like, "Oh, my secret diary. Don't read my secret diary."
Right, right. Yeah. Well, they go out for Corky leaves Fats behind again and goes out for a walk.
Nice walk. What's,
Yeah,
you
nice
know,
hike in the Catskills. And she's really taken with Corky, Peg is. And she's like, "Do a trick for me." And he does like the disappearing rock in the hand and
well,
basically
I love this idea, and I think this was maybe probably fleshed out in the book a bit more. But he's like, "Do a trick." I don't do tricks.
yes,
A trick
I do
implies something that is like
illusions.
a contraption that is made to trick people.
Yeah.
What he does is manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
You manipulate an ordinary thing, misdirection manipulation, and that's his thing.
Yep.
And it
Well,
sure is.
it sure is. Well, he manipulates this rock to disappear, and she's delighted by it. But she starts getting a little bit more into uh their his life, and he starts talking about Merlin and his wife, and they later in life started getting all into this telepathy shit.
Mhm.
And he kind of does the I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it. And she's like, "Why not?" He says, "I'm just trying. I came here to get away from pressure." There's no pressure. I'm not putting pressure on you.
She's like, "Well, you
You
don't
don't
want
got
to talk
to
about
do
it? Don't talk
nothing
about
you
it."
don't want to do.
And the story is that, the mental telepathy is an act. It's you use trigger words to be like, if I say pocket, it's a watch, it's
Yeah.
a back and forth code.
Yeah.
But he's like, as Merlin is like dying of heart disease or cancer or whatever, they actually kind of fell into this of like he could read his wife's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And in his dying moments, they reach this level of clarity of that somehow it actually became real.
Mm-hmm.
And Peggy is like, "Well, we gotta try it."
Uh-huh.
All right, reluctantly, they try
So
it.
they try it. Man, he is such a pill during this thing. I mean, the whole deal is we both you draw a card, memorize it.
Yeah.
Uh
It's like two decks of
two
cards.
decks of
You
cards.
you you do your deck, you pick a card, and then we swap the decks and we shuffle them and we cut the cards, and then I'm going to pick the card you drew out of my deck or something
Yeah.
like that. But it's very again, it's very ritualistic. It has a
Uh-huh.
very certain amount of steps to it. And the
And
first time it doesn't work.
yes.
And
He's also like he the thing I'm realizing just now is he gets really mad at her during
yeah,
this. And like
yeah, like
as I'm
almost
watching,
scary mad.
yeah, scary mad. It's like, "You're doing it wrong. You're not concentrating well enough. You're not doing this." And but the when he first shows her how to lay the deck out, he's got a perfect fan because he's a
Yeah,
card manipulator.
sure.
And her fan is like
She's like, "Bup, bup, 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 bup."
trying
Yeah,
to make it
yeah,
look like
yeah.
his.
Sure.
And then also when he seals the deck back up, he just with a single smooth swoop,
Yeah.
he makes a deck again.
Yeah.
And as she does it, she just kind of does the big scramble on the table because she just gets it all
Uh-huh.
messed up. And this, in my mind now, I think that's why it didn't work the first time and why he got so upset at her because she didn't. He says, do the deck like this. Now put the deck back together like this. And she didn't do the trick the way the participant is supposed to do the trick. And it's the second time she does it right after all of his yelling at her. That's what I'm thinking happened. Is that?
What if
Oh, yes.
it's a trick the whole time, Jeffrey?
Could be that too. He
No, no,
was
listen,
so mad.
because he puts pressure on. He's like, "You're not concentrating. Let's do it again." And it's also kind of like it's a little scary. We start to see the like scary side come
Uh
out.
huh.
And he's also very frustrated about his situation, about being having to run away. Do it again. Concentrate harder. Concentrate harder. The second time it works. It's all a fucking act, Jeffrey.
I know.
Leading her by talking about how mystical the pure love between the husband and it's all it's a fugazi, it's a bamboozle. The first time it messes up, and that is like, oh no, we got to try it again, and that just invests her even harder
Yeah.
into it the second time, and we know this because an hour later, when Fats is like gone rogue, he's like, "Hey, did you do the mental trick with her?" Yeah, he does that with like every flight attendant girl he wants
Yep.
to. It's all a fucking trick,
Yep. Well, and when they get it right the second time, she like lays her head in his hand next, like kneels before him
right?
and says, I didn't fail. And then he picks her up by the chin and kisses her.
I didn't fail. I didn't fail at your magic trick.
Unbelievable. Like, is this gaslighting? Is that what this is? Just
It's
pure
just
manipulation.
manipulation. It's
Yeah.
just manipulation, which is what I think they even say. Like earlier, Ben Green is talking to the NBC executive. He's like, magic is trying to get people to look at the wrong thing at the right time,
Uh
or the
huh.
right thing at the wrong thing at the right time. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's also saying like television doesn't work with magic because the camera's always watching, but it'll work with this guy because everybody always looks at the dummy.
Yeah.
But it's that idea of you don't know you're being manipulated, but you're almost kind of like enjoying the ride,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, they, she talks about how down and out that her sex life with Duke is, and Corky
And
offers up.
this is a very 1970s sex scene. Like it's
Oh my
not
God.
glossy. Like
No.
this is Bob, Alice, Ted, and Alice, whatever the
Yeah.
fucking movie was. You
Uh-huh.
know, this is like it is real bodies. It is like there's nudity, but it's not glossy. They're like, I don't know, it's very real.
Yeah.
It's very revealing until they pull back
Uh-huh.
and Fats is like in the other room and they have positioned him with so much fucking side eye. He is not happy at being left out.
Corky asks Peg, he's like, why don't we run away together? Like, you leave Duke, I'll leave Fats.
Oh, dude.
And she says, listen, a girl, I like this line. A girl ought to be able to take a bubble bath before answering a question
Right.
like that.
Right? Just like, okay. Just let me sleep on it.
Uh-huh.
Okay? I mean, cool. You're great,
But that's a lot. That's a lot to
right?
process. Back in the room, Fats is, for a little bit here, is not cracking wise. He's saying, I feel blue. Like, I
Yeah.
kind of want to just go back to Manhattan. Like, why can't we just do that? I don't like
Or
this.
why can't we move on?
Uh-huh.
Like, what's so great about this place? Let's
Yeah.
just keep traveling, man. Our life is the road.
Uh-huh.
Easy Rider.
And then they get into an actual physical altercation. He and the dummy. And then we hear someone at the door. Corky turns around, and there is Ben Green looking unimpressed with what's happening.
Well, it's Ben sees Corky and Fats actually fighting.
Yes.
And I think also this is like the first time it's kind of downplayed until the very end. And I wish, again, I think this is probably read better in a book, but the idea that Corky gets these like migraines, these like
Uh-huh.
intense migraines, and it's almost implied like Fats is like talks him through them, talks him
Uh-huh.
through the pain. But when he gets mad at Fats, it like it just like is a volcano.
Uh-huh.
But Ben witnesses all of this.
And this is very much your addiction narrative to the way he
Yeah.
behaves in this moment of like, I'm not high, I'm not high. No, no, no. I'm just working on a new act.
Yeah.
I'm not coked out of my gourd. Like, no, no,
No,
no. Let me show you.
I'm
This is
totally in
just a new
control.
act.
This is you're gonna love it. And he does like kind of a half, and he does like kind of a shtick. And Ben is like, okay,
Hmm.
I love you, kid.
Yeah.
And it's that like it's seeing somebody who is very intimidating. And this is where you're like fucking Burgess Meredith. I mean, like Anthony Hopkins, yes, and Anna Mark, but fucking Burgess Meredith. He's like so simple, and he's like, okay, one of two things are going to happen. Either I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to ask you to do something. It should be really easy. If you can do it, we're going to leave here. We're going to go. We're going to make you famous. If you can't do it, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to get you a doctor.
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, whatever, whatever you say, man. Anything. I'm totally fine. I can do whatever you want. Make Fat shut up for 5 minutes. And this is where I actually was kind of reminded of sort of our days in the neo-futurists of like one of the things is like 10 seconds to 30 seconds of silence on stage, quote, on
Uh-huh.
stage is the longest time you will ever spend.
Yeah.
So he puts Fats aside, like sits down, and he's like, okay, here we go. 5 minutes. How much time has gone by? It must be 5 minutes, right? He's like, 30 seconds. And you're like, oh, fuck. He is white knuckling this
Yeah.
30 seconds at a time.
He asks him at 30 seconds. He asks him at a minute and a half. He asks him at 2 minutes. He asks him at 2.5 minutes. And this scene is, I looked at this. This goes on longer than
It's
than it
manipulative.
says, which I
Again,
think is great because it makes it so uncomfortable to watch.
it, again, it's manipulated. Like,
Yeah,
5 minutes is a long time, but it
it
is,
is. But I loved that Attenborough did that for this scene.
yeah,
I love that he elongates the scene because that's that's the it puts you in his feeling. It puts you in
yeah,
Corky's feeling at this moment of like, how much longer? Because we all know what he knows, and
yeah.
we just want out of I just want out of this. But you
And he
know he's
tries to
gonna
like,
fail.
he tries like, it reminds me of a therapy session when you're kind of looking at your therapist and like, uh-oh, who's going to talk? You're,
Uh-huh.
uh, and he tries to crack a joke. Ben Green pulls out a cigar. He's like, can I have one of those? He can't even like, he doesn't open the, he's just like fiddling with it. Just
Uh-huh.
that nervous energy has got to go somewhere.
I'm gonna interject really quickly, unrelated to this, but the cigar. Just a
Yeah.
tangent here. There's a
I know
weird
what
like
yeah, yeah,
it's almost like a Mel Brooks type of joke
yeah.
happening wherein these really nice cigars come in glass vials and you uncork it, take the cigar out, and it happens twice, but once earlier when we're in Ben Green's office, he tosses the vial aside and we hear it crash on the floor.
You're
Glass.
like, oh, damn.
Damn. I mean,
Because this
that's his
assistant
level.
will, yeah, like somebody will clean up after him.
He does it again here in this cabin. I was like, whoa. And it's a weird gag. I mean, I get
Yeah.
it, but it also feels a little bit Mel Brooksy, like it feels like an absurd comic joke.
Yes. I also think it's a like it, kind of a, talking about these character actors, like it's a character trait, like it's a psychological character trait. So we're
Uh-huh.
kind of in that era of like, building, the sort of the Stanislavski into the method, into the, Lee Salzburg, I don't know, whatever. The sort
Sure.
of like the methody actor of like, no, this is what my character does. Every time he pulls out a cigar, he does this thing. That's how you build a
Yes.
character.
Yes.
It is kind of weird that he does it when it's just the two of them. I was like, are you going to clean that up?
Yeah, who's cleaning that up? Okay, so he obviously can't. Fats gets picked up again. Fats is like, he's right, you're crazy.
And
And
it all comes out in like a torrent.
yeah, oh yeah, it's like huge energy. Like he
It's,
just it's like vomiting.
yeah.
And so Ben was like, I didn't think he could do it. And he leaves, and Corky grabs him, and it's the one time we see Ben really angry. He's like, don't raise a hand to me.
Yeah. I lived through Tallulah Bankhead and the death of vaudeville. I'll survive this.
And Fats and Corky have a conversation about it, and Fats is like,
He's
no way
gonna
around it. You got to stop that postman.
he's gonna take you away. They're gonna take you away. They're gonna put you in the booby hatch or what, like all the
Yeah.
sort of, like, and what it's where you always worried you would end up. And it's kind of like this idea that even when he was a kid, he knew this is where he was headed, or he knew this is where he could be heading. This mental institution was like loomed so large in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to keep him out of that.
Yep. So he chases Ben down and bludgeons him with Fats.
I know when he's like, what do I do? What do I hit him with? With me, with me. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Love this as a metaphor.
Yeah.
Hate this as a practical.
Yes.
I mean, listen, that doll doesn't weigh much fucking more than like
No.
3 pounds.
No, that doll is gonna come to pieces. I mean, like a
Yeah.
chunk comes out of Fats's head,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. That's you have maybe given this man a concussion.
Yeah. You rolled two in damage.
And he
You know,
did, because we will learn he is only unconscious.
he's only unconscious.
So there's also this excruciating scene of Peg popping out of like, hey, which
Oh, God.
vegetable should I thaw out? The asparagus tips or the
I
green
know.
beans? What are you doing in the woods? Just walking. Hope you're thinking about me. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. Totally thinking about you. I'll be in a minute.
So Corky bandages Fats's head back up, and Fats is like, all right, so here's what you need to do. You need to get all identification off of him,
Yep.
and you need to
Go
dog
go have
paddle
dinner
out
with
to the
Peg.
middle of that lake, Melody
Yeah.
Lake, and sink that body. Put some rocks in his
Yep.
trousers, sink that body.
Easy.
But there's snapping turtles and moccasins, and he's like, tough shit.
Yeah.
So he sort of dog paddles the body of Ben out to the lake, and Ben wakes up and starts attacking.
This scene's kind of intense.
Uh,
It's also a little silly.
yeah,
It goes on a little long. I
yeah,
will say this. This is because you're like, just because the unknowingness of it is intense. You're kind of waiting for him to wait. Like you're like, this
yeah.
is not going to go well. You feel like this is not going to go well. But it's also, um, it happens. It goes on for a while. Let's say
It does.
this sort of like he pushes you down, then you push him down, and he pushes you down, and you push him down. But I was like, oh, geez, just like pop him in the nose or something.
Where I thought this scene was going to go when Ben came to and this fighting happened, and this is more of my modern brain
Sure.
thinking back to The Sopranos as kind of maybe the first form of storytelling media that I saw where they really dealt with what it means to actually kill a person.
Sure. Yeah.
Like thinking mainstream media. I'm not saying anyone
The
has never
physical
done that.
exertion it actually takes, the time it takes, yeah.
Yeah, and we got into this with some with like Breaking Bad, and there's a lot of movies and shows now that actually are like takes a long time to choke a person, and also
Yeah.
the fortitude it takes to murder somebody, even in
Yeah.
self-defense, is hard. Like, I'm always like, hey, grab that knife, kill that killer,
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
finish him
yeah, yeah.
off. But like
Yeah.
the
It's a
act of
bridge
doing
too
that,
far for a lot of people. Yeah.
and we don't, I think this scene pays off better if we watch Corky actually have to, if we could actually see through his eyes what it means to drown a
Mm-hmm.
person. Because at
Sure.
this point, it's now like you're separate from Fats. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fats isn't there.
This is meek little Corky.
Yeah. And, I want to see his brain working on the excuse he has to have to drown him. But the scariest part about all of this is just Fats sitting in the window
Oh
watching
my
this whole
God.
thing.
Again, this is not a haunted doll movie.
No.
This is not a Chucky. There are a couple of moments. We have one coming up that's fucking scary, in which the doll is manipulated in the narrative to seem like it's alive, but
Uh-huh.
it's never alive.
Yeah. No. No, it's never.
It's
I mean, yeah, there's a moment where it looks like it acts on its own accord, but you really can piece together that
yeah.
it didn't. It absolutely
It's
did not.
the scariness about it to me is again going back to this idea of the psychological gesture, the Lee Strasberg, that's it. It's an understanding of human psychology in this sort of from this sort of school of method acting that they like treat this ventriloquist doll like a character and they set it up if it's like not happy, it's got its teeth showing and it's giving you side eye.
Uh-huh.
Like that's not how you would just put it down. Like it's these like real psychological cues. So like in this moment where it's just Fats sitting, he must have put Fats at the window to make sure Corky went through with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this like long, slow pan out. And it's just Fats watching him do the deed.
Yep. Well, Duke has come back home.
Uh-oh. This is where it's just like, hey, good morning. I'm standing 10 feet back from you because my husband is watching from the window and he wants to talk to you. So,
And it's good if you actually come for breakfast because he wants to see how we interact together.
aha, so good morning.
And so he's like, okay, give me a few minutes. I'll be right in. And so he
And
goes there and he brings Fats to
of
break the
course he
tension.
does. The misdirect.
Yep.
Keep him laughing.
And it sort of works. Like you can see it working on Duke,
Yeah.
although not as strongly as it worked on a few
Mhm.
other people. Like Duke still has a deep part of him that is very jealous.
Yeah.
I want to say Duke is my favorite character in this movie.
Duke is really interesting. Like Ed Lauder does a great job at being just unlikable enough, or just like you're kind of like everyman upstate everyman.
Uh-huh.
Kind of the and kind of it's interesting the idea of like Corky. They all went to high school together.
Mm-hmm.
Peggy and Duke were like king, queen of the prom, like they were the
Uh-huh.
popular kids. Corky was the nobody. Everybody's like, oh, he's so nice, but he's so quiet. Corky, he's on the fucking Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
He made something of himself.
Yeah.
Duke, apparently, he's like, hey, how was the real estate business? Like, yeah, uh-huh. That didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
Duke is the kid who peaked in fucking high school and is real angry about it.
Yeah. And also probably just a little lost too. I mean,
Yeah.
Duke, I think unlike Corky, Duke kind of knows this about himself, and he may not be trying the most efficient or best ways about it, obviously. Obviously he's not, but he understands that he's supposed to be the money earner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did real estate, and the real estate market is fucked.
Crumbled.
He's like, so he's told people, and including his wife, it sounds like, oh, I had to get out of that business to do something else.
Yeah.
But again, like Corky, he's not communicating with other people what he's going through and what his needs are.
Well,
And
it
that,
seems like he has to go on those like long business trips. He's like,
yeah,
look, I'm sacrificing for you and me.
yeah,
But then also he hits that bottle pretty hard whenever he is at home.
yeah, yeah. He's absent. He's absenting his own life, just like other characters in this
Yeah.
movie, and especially Corky. But yeah, it is. He's very interesting, but he's very very jealous. But Duke, while doing his like chores on the outdoor chores on the grounds, comes across Ben's Rolls Royce. Huh. Hey, Corky, you drive a Rolls Royce? No. Oh, because
Th-
I found one here, and Corky's like, oh, shit.
see, if Corky had said yes, this entire movie would have ended differently.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I drive a Rolls.
course
Yeah,
I
it's my
do.
car.
Yeah. But he don't. And he's
Because
got
this
to,
cock, he's like,
yeah,
I don't say, he's like, okay, so, oh, it must be my agents. My agent drove down, but I don't know. I never saw him. Did you see him? No, you never saw him.
yeah.
He must have, I don't know, walked into the woods and gotten eaten by a bear. What?
Oh, my God. Yeah, and he's got to create this elaborate lie. So he's like, oh, it looks like it got stuck, and he must have gone to get
That's
help.
it.
He's like,
That's it.
hey, so Duke, can you get this out of this mud? Duke's like, oh, drive an $80,000 car?
Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
great.
You know. And then back at the house with Peggy,
Oh, this
Corky
conversation,
makes a fake call.
this fake phone conversation. Again, he's so committed to the bit.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like he's convincing himself this will work.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Ben. Yeah, you're back at like it's so committed to it's not, I mean, it's clearly for Peggy's ears,
Uh-huh.
but it goes deeper than that. You know, like he has Ben's isms. He says things that Ben says.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't know, it's the psychology goes a little bit deeper than just like, oh yeah, you arrived at 3 o'clock. Great. He's not just
Yep.
performing, but he is performing for himself as well as Peggy.
So when Duke is back at the house with just him and Peggy, he's going after her about her time with
Mm.
Corky. He's really jealous, and he's like, so this agent of his shows up but doesn't see you guys there. Like, well, we were on a walk. Well, tell me about this long ass walk. Like, didn't realize what did you go do? You go fuck in the woods? What was your thing? She's like, no, I mean, he probably got confused. He's an old guy. How'd you know he was old? I didn't hear he was old. Did you talk
She's
about
like,
that on your
oh,
walk? How
maybe,
intimate are you
maybe,
guys?
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then, this is where he gets shoves her on the
Hmm.
bed. He's so mad. And then finally she puts a stop to it he was like, you
Oh,
fucked her, didn't you? And she says,
I didn't fuck him, but I wanted to.
ah,
They say men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
they do say that constantly for no reason.
Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, she's lying. She's absolutely lying.
Uh-huh.
But it's really more about the twist of the knife,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And repositioning it as it's a great argumentative tactic because if you admit to fucking him or get found out
Right.
with
Yes.
actual proof,
You lost.
you're in the wrong.
You lost. Yeah.
But if you can keep up the lie that you are morally pure in this
Yeah.
relationship, but you say, I wanted to fuck him,
I know.
then it's on Duke. Now it's
Oh,
your fault, my man,
no.
because
Yeah.
you're the one who's not fuckable.
You're lacking because I had to look somewhere else.
Yeah. I'm dreaming about other men because you don't fulfill.
Yeah.
This next scene is really another good misdirect because Duke shows up out at Corky's cabin is like, hey, you like fishing? I want to take you fishing. We got to
Oh my
talk.
God.
And I'm like,
This is
no,
so,
don't go out on a boat with anyone
oh
you
my
don't know,
God.
especially someone who handles shotguns and axes for
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
living and thinks you're fucking his wife.
Yes.
Um, so he's like, I want to talk to you about Peggy's decision, is what he tells Corky, which is
Okay.
what finally gets Corky to go out on the boat. But the whole time, Corky is just looking in the water
I
because he's
know.
just thinking about Ben's body.
Yeah. And they're going, he's like, why are we going near over there? And he's like, I'll drive. And Duke is like, I know where the fishing spots are.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go over here. Coincidentally, right where you killed that dude.
Uh-huh. We have a long, prolonged bit where Duke's fishing line gets caught on something very heavy. And he's like
Uh-oh.
trying to reel it in. And there's a shot of Corky with the oar above his
Yeah.
head, like he's gonna clock, like he's gonna clock Duke if
The,
Duke
you know,
sees
this
it.
this movie really reminds me, actually, I think this movie has more in common with like the talented Mr. Ripley than
Interesting.
like I mean, again, the ventriloquist dummy is kind of the misdirect, but that sort of like once you get caught in the web of lies, like the meek person who's willing to do anything to maintain it or to get this level of maybe this will fix me, maybe this will fix me. Again, this is just another scene out of that,
Yeah.
just a scene in a rowboat.
But it turns out, oh, it's just a branch. Oh my God.
Ah,
And then Duke looks across and he's like, wait, is that a body? And there is Ben's body lying on
oops.
the edge of the lake.
Like he had I don't know, at least swam to the edge of the lake.
I got the feeling that he swam to the edge of the lake and then just couldn't
Yeah,
go and
yeah.
died there. And Duke is like, he feels
He
the
might
skin.
still,
He's like, he might still be alive.
yeah.
Run, call the hospital. And Duke tries CPR, tries listening to his heartbeat, and you can see on his face, no, dude's dead.
Yeah.
So while he assumes Corky is going to go call the hospital, which Corky is absolutely not going to do,
No.
Duke is like, huh, let me slip into this man's cabin because he's acting crazy.
Yeah.
Also,
And
maybe I'll find proof that he's fucked my wife.
sure. Well, I think he's also like he is very suspicious that because he's told Peggy, he's like, this whole thing with the agent, this story stinks.
Yeah,
And now we find a body in a nice suit with no identification. He's like, I'm busting into the cabin.
yeah,
And sure enough, it's also kind of like it's interesting again back to this idea of like finding interior spaces, like actually getting to like see him rifle through Fats's outfit, all the shoes, the out like you're just like you just see the level of like commitment
yes,
to Fats.
yeah,
And it also seems even more like more of a violation because he's just like rummage, rummage, rummage.
uh-huh,
But sure enough, he finds the wallet that says BG on it. It says Ben's name and the whole thing, and he's like the agent.
uh-huh,
And he turns around, and there's Fat sitting right there. He's like, oh,
yeah.
no, it's just a dummy.
And there's two moments of when he first turns around and sees the dummy, but then the second moment he sees it, and that dummy is facing a different way both times
Yes, it
because
is.
he's in two different rooms for both of those scenes.
Yes, it is.
And he gets close up to that dummy to examine it, and the dummy draws a knife, the
And
whittling knife.
it's because it starts, it's real subtle. It's like first the eyes move, and then the eyebrows, and then the hand with the knife, and then just fucking stabs him.
Yep,
And then
gets
he slashes his throat.
yeah, yeah. He
And at
gets him in
this
the gut,
point,
the chest, and the throat.
you're like, is this doll alive? You know,
Mhm.
like this movie plays the thing of like, what is it supernatural? Is it a demon doll? But that's pretty quickly like it's not
No.
because you realize Fats was sitting in front of a curtain
Uh huh.
and Corky was behind it the whole time.
Yes. And then Corky stands up from behind the curtain after Duke is dead and is actually looking shocked at what Fats
Yeah.
has done.
Yeah.
So then again, the misdirect of just like, I've plugged in this id into, like, my
Hmm.
id is in this thing. Like, that's not
It's
me. That's
running
something else.
wild now.
Yeah. And Fats is like, nope, here's how you got to get rid of that body. You got to get a tarp, tie a stone to it, sink it back in the lake,
Oh.
which he does. Later, when Peg gets home, Corky's like, yeah, Duke and I had a talk, but he got mad, stormed off, said, I'm going hunting.
And she's like, the sun is going down.
It's a bad time to hunt.
She's like, and I love that this is where this movie may not pass the Bechdel test, but I do find some like redemption in Peggy because she says she's like, I can't be a prize for
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
I can't be your problem. I can't be your prize. I can't be like Duke and I may have had problems. But we had a life together, and I at least owe him an explanation.
Yeah.
I'm set on this.
Yeah.
And
Because
this
I will go
clearly,
away with you, but I
yes,
have to tell him face to face, like a human being.
yeah, like I'm taking responsibility for my actions
Uh huh.
and saying, you know what? I don't like where our life is at right now. I'm making a decision to leave rather than like running willy-nilly in the night
Yeah.
to get eloped with you.
Yeah.
But Corky is not happy with this decision.
No. No.
And
No,
I think we
absolutely
all
not.
know, we all know where this is headed.
Uh huh.
Because Fats is like, well, you should go give her a visit.
Uh huh.
Take the knife with you.
Uh huh. And he's fighting fighting that off. He's like, and actually, even before we get to the go kill,
Oh, sure, sure.
where Corky and Fats, are talking about it, and Corky is like trying to tell Fats, look, it's just going to be the two of us on the honeymoon.
Yes.
And Fats is like, no, it won't. No, in
Yeah.
fact, actually, it won't be at all because I'll
I'll
tell everything. One
tell.
night, you won't know when. One night in the middle of the act, I'll scream, there's bodies in Lake Melody. And
Yikes.
this is where we also see in this set of scenes here the way in which Corky's migraines
Yeah.
take over. And Fats is like, yeah, you don't like that, do you? It's kind of going to be kind of hard without me, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Peggy, it's getting late at night and Duke is not back yet.
Yeah.
She comes to Corky's cabin and he's like, you made a decision? She's like, no, it's just Duke's not home and I just didn't want to sit alone. And then Fats pops up
That's it.
and tells the secret of the telepathy card trick. I can pronounce words.
Telepathic or
Yeah, telepathic card
telepathy.
trick. That it was all a card manipulation.
It was a scam.
It was a scam.
You
And
got
he
led
used
down
it-
a garden path to make yourself believe in love.
And he used it on every flight attendant and whoever he could find to sleep with him.
Again, it's like, is that true?
I
Because
mean,
that doesn't seem like Corky's MO.
no, but it seems like Fats' MO, which is a character he made for himself,
Yeah.
or a character that exists in his mind, that it seems like he could get anything he wanted through this addictive second person. So I bought it. Like, I actually thought, yeah, I bet he's used this on a lot of women and probably some successfully. So, and well, apparently he used it successfully here.
Yeah.
So obviously this upsets Peggy greatly.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck off. Fuck
Mhm.
you. I'm out. Goes back and just locks herself in her bedroom waiting for Duke to come home. And Fats, I think this is like the key conversation in the movie. This is when Fats says, why did I do that?
Yeah.
He's like, because you're mad? And he's like, no, I did it because I could. And just to sort of prove that you won't stop me.
Yeah.
You can't stop me. You have the option to stop me, and you don't.
He's like,
So it's me and you, not you and
I
her.
own you. You're the dummy.
Uh huh.
Jump up and down, dummy.
Yeah,
Bark
crawl
like
on
a
the
dog,
floor.
dummy.
Yeah.
Crawl on the floor, dummy. And like the Anthony Hopkins is unhinged in this
Yeah.
scene. Like
So
it's
good.
gorgeous to watch. Again, it's like this is I think the reason I was so taken by this movie is the levels of commitment and vulnerability in Anthony Hopkins.
Uh huh.
And this scene is wild to watch because
Yeah.
he is manic and he's happy to do what Fat says. He's like yeah, jump, bark like a dog, jump up and down.
Hmm.
Fats is like, go get a knife. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get a knife. What do you want me to do next? Go give Peggy a visit.
Hmm.
Wait. Oh, I don't want to. And it's like you see him realize, I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
but I have to do that. And it's like the sadness. Oh God, it's hard
Yeah.
and beautiful to watch.
So, cut to Peg's bedroom. She hears someone coming up the stairs at the door. Is that you, Duke? And then it's Fats's voice. Hey, I just wanted to give you something
Go away,
for it.
Corky. It's not
And
Fats, or it's not Corky. It's Fat. Go away. I don't want to talk, Corky. It's Fat. Okay, go away, Fats. And then she's like, ah, good. We know who we are now.
yeah,
Like, it's, I love it. I
so good.
love it.
I also like her. She knows, she doesn't necessarily know she's in a horror film, but can survive a horror film to a point because she has boundaries.
Yeah.
And one of her boundaries we saw earlier, which is I'm not leaving until I tell my husband
No.
in person that I'm leaving
It's going to
him.
be hard. It's going
Yeah,
to suck. But ultimately, it will
it's
be
the
better in the end, you
it's the
know?
right thing to do because we're
Yeah.
human. Are
Yeah.
we human or are we dancers, Cecil?
Yeah. That's it.
And yeah, we are human. And she says he says in Fats's voice, wanted to leave you something. Carved you a wooden heart, which was the story about what he had carved for her in high
Hmm.
school, but never
But
gave
never
to her.
gave it to her.
And she says, "Thank you. Leave it by the door," which is
Okay.
appropriate. That's what
Yeah.
you should say to the fuck boy. You know?
And then I love this like, okay. And she walks over to the door. She's like, you're still there. And he's like, ah, you got me. Was it brains and boobs?
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm leaving now. This is me leaving.
Ah!
Goodbye. And then this shot is chilling. This is like a great horror movie shot. So it's like her at the door and
From the hallway.
in the hallway, it's just like from the floor. Oh, and we got to mention by this point, Corky and Fats are wearing the same outfit.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Like they start off in, like I said, sort of a different costume wise. Now, identical.
Yeah.
And it's toes up and it's Anthony Hopkins. And he has this is like you see where Hannibal Lecter,
Uh huh.
because it's chilling uplight and he is empty inside
Yes.
with a knife in his hands.
And she
She
opens the
opens the
door.
door.
There's the heart. And she picks it up and like cradles it. Like obviously it has some
Yeah.
sentimental value to her. That it means something that he made that for her.
Cut to a bloody knife falling on the floor.
Back in Corky's cabin, and he's
But you don't know.
no.
It's just like it's just a bloody knife falling on the floor.
Uh-huh. And then
Corky's sitting in a chair.
we see it's in the cabin and there's Corky sitting across the room, actually in a chair across from the couch that Fats is sitting on. And Fats is like, "Ah, you did it, buddy. You did it. We're all good." Wait, what's going on? Why does my stomach hurt?
I don't even have a stomach, and my stomach hurts.
And Corky moves his hands aside, and we see that he is bleeding from the gut. And he says, "Well, what's happening is we're dying. I stabbed myself. Basically, I stabbed myself instead of her because
Yeah.
that's the only way I knew to keep her from getting hurt. And I put the knife in pretty deep, so we're kind of done for, buddy.
Yeah.
Fats is like, why didn't you just run away with her? I mean, I'm just you the whole time.
This moment.
Uh huh.
And it comes at it, talk about catharsis. In which she's like, wait, we was it you are us?
Uh
I
huh.
think is what he says. And it's like the look of shock on Corky's face of like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. This is such an interesting final sort of moment because there's nothing about that line in its content that is an aha moment for us as an audience.
No.
Like we know that. What's interesting about the line that I think works probably better in a film than it would in a book. I haven't read the book, so I don't want to say that
Yeah.
confidently, but it's watching that it's an aha moment for him.
Exactly.
And it's also not just an aha moment. It's less about the aha. It's not like he's discovering this, he's accepting it. That's the
Yep.
difference.
Yes.
It's not a
Yes.
discovery, it's an acceptance. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because to this point, we have a character who's not accepting who he is. He's not
Yeah.
opening himself up to himself. And they die in each other's arms.
I also love the like, I wonder who will go first, you or me.
Kind of think
And
it's going to be the
he's
same
again,
time.
it's like we'll probably go together.
Yeah.
Like it should be.
Mm-hmm. And then we get this really just tragicomic button at the end. And it's Peggy coming out of the house, shouting down the hill to the cabin that Corky stays in. And she's tossing that heart up in the air like a baseball, just
Yeah.
tossing it to herself. And she's like, hey, Cork, it's me. You know what? I've changed my mind. Let's go.
Yeah, like I made my choice. Listen, I'm fickle. I'm a woman.
What are you going to do?
I changed my mind. What are you gonna? You know what? I love you.
And she
And I
kind of does Fats's
she
voice.
does Fats's voice. It's like, take advantage because this offer might not be here tomorrow.
Yep. The end. Shall we rate this film, Cecil?
Yes, let's.
All right, let's talk about approachability of this movie. If you are horror movies squeamish, how approachable is magic? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all approachable, like torture porn type of movies, or 10, like super approachable movies like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Let's give magic 8 out of 10 wooden hearts. I think the only thing that slips it down from 10 out of 10, because this is really kind of a psychological drama. We do have this brutal murder. We've got the creepy doll face. We've also got just using the psychoses as horror too, right? Like the voices in your head
Yeah.
type of thing is creepy. Like the snap. There's something about Anthony Hopkins' performance that at any moment you do feel like he can snap on you,
Yeah.
and that's a good horror movie device to use. But outside of that, like the other disturbing things are kind of, the bloody murder is stuff you would see in a normal thriller. In fact, way less than you would see in a thriller.
yeah.
And obviously to talk about, mental health issues and domestic abuse, aplenty in this movie, lots of manipulation. So, but for horror movie approachability, 8 out of 10, very approachable. Cecil, to speak nothing of approachability, how do you rate this as a horror film?
This is a tough one because as a horror film, I love it, but I don't think this is for everybody.
Uh-huh.
It's slow. It is very slow. I think it pays off in the end, but in a very sort of actorly way.
Yeah.
Others might disagree. There's also a 1945 black and white film called Dead of Night that we also considered that a lot is kind of critically more acclaimed than this
Uh-huh.
film, dealing with similar things of ventriloquists gone awry. But I gotta say, it's just a fucking joy watching like 4 actors do really fucking good work in a tight script with good direction. And I was mystified the first time I saw this movie.
Uh
I was like, is this doll alive? No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. No, it's definitely not.
huh.
I fell for the magic trick.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I would say 6 out of 10 ventriloquist doll wigs with blood on it.
perfect. Let's figure out what movie we're going to watch next. You've got a scare die, I've got a style die. Let's roll those up and see what movie matches those two things. So, Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare is End of the World. 2, a bad mom or bad dad. 3, a cryptid. 4, wild card scare. 5, magic with a K. Or 6, existential horror. What you got?
That's a 6.
Existential. Okay.
Life is the horror.
All right, existential horror. We're going to match that with the style I roll. If I roll a 1, it's got to be a black and white film. 2, it's got to be a B movie. 3, it's got to have a one-word title. 4, it's got to be from the 2020s. 5, it's got to be some kind of horror homework, like must-see for horror fans. Or 6, Asian horror, something from an Asian country. So let's see what we got. Shake up my little die bowl. I got a 4 from the 2020s.
Oh,
I feel like we should be able to do this fairly easily. But we're going to have a lot of movie ideas, some that we wrote down with this possible matchup. And also on our Letterboxd, we're at Random Horror 9 over there, and we keep lists of all the possible die rolls, and you can contribute through comments movies that we should consider for those matchups. So let's start with the ones we wrote down, Cecil. So I already put down I saw the TV Glow, very existential horror.
Oh,
We
yes.
just watched a couple months ago. We watched We're All Going to the World's Fair for Patreon.
Yeah.
Another good one is, or another movie that fits this, I think, Men, the Alex Garland film.
I've never seen this. I'm very curious about it, but I'm also like, this is not going to be a fun watch, right?
No,
Like
I
this
don't
is
think so.
it's not going to be a pleasure and a joy to watch this movie.
Going back to what I said at the beginning, this is a movie that everyone I know who saw it, I said, "Do you like it? It's fine."
Okay.
And that's just kind of where it kind of
Yeah.
got left. We've got, of course, The Substance.
Oh, fuck yes.
Anything Cronenbergian is gonna be
Yeah.
existential.
And I mean, this is also, I think this is an excellent choice because it's also like, it's an Oscar nominated performance. Oscar nominated. Like, this is like
A horror film nominated for a
The
Best
horror
Picture.
genre has turned, the worm has turned.
Uh-huh. Speaking of Cronenberg, we've got Cronenberg Jr., Possessor.
I've not seen this and I'm very curious.
I've not seen any of his films yet because I haven't
Neither have
seen
I.
Infinity Pool or, yeah. So that's an interesting one if we wanted to go after a movie we haven't
Yep.
seen. One I've seen, I don't think you've seen, is Wasera, the Bone Woman.
And I hear this is amazing.
It's
And
amazing.
it's very scary.
I think it's pretty scary. Yeah. I think
Okay.
when it hits really well. I think, we'll just keep going with what we have. We also have Lamb.
See, this is one that I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. And then friends of mine were just like, eh,
It's about
it's
a
okay.
lamb.
It's like Demon Lamb or something.
We also have Caveat. This is by the same director as
I don't know
Oddity,
this one.
which was a real darling film
Oh,
from
gotcha,
last year.
gotcha, gotcha.
Have
Okay.
not seen Caveat yet. But again, Irish filmmaking. Love the
Yeah, I
Irish.
believe so.
And finally, I think you added this with a question mark. Good Boy.
So this is this is where woman falls in love with a man or goes on a date with a man who she meets on a dating app who lives with a man who is his dog.
That's right. Yes.
So like you're like, oh, look at your dog. That's not a dog. That's just a dude. But you treat him like a dog.
And this is a Norwegian film.
Yes.
I think the original title in Norwegian was Me, You, and Frank. Is that, do I have that right?
I don't know.
I could be wrong. Anyways, yes, this looks horrifying. Like in all of the ways a person can be super deranged. Okay, so let's talk about Letterboxd, where we have a bunch of suggestions from folks over there. Tons and tons and tons of comments. Cecil, what
Well,
did people there have to say? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
lots of comments,
Yeah.
but I would say the majority of the comments are supporting the substance and I saw the TV glow. But let's
Uh,
get into it. Let's see what
let's
other
talk about
things.
what the other suggestions were, and then we'll see where we sit.
Chuck I recommends excuse me, Cube, the remake from 2021. Um, Without remembering how they got there, several strangers awaken in a prison of cube cells, some of them booby trapped. The prisoners must use their combined skills if they are to escape. Now, this is a remake of a pretty, like, kind of an indie hit, like a surprising hit of the horror movie world that
Uh
came out
huh.
in the like late 90s, early 2000s. So I didn't know they made a remake. It was a tenth one, I gotta say. Benjamin Montague recommends Red Rooms from 2024. In Quebec, a young model with unclear motives ceremoniously attends the multi-day trial of an accused serial killer. This movie manages to be terrifying despite showing virtually nothing and has so much to say about the nature of the true crime industrial complex.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-oh. Atheros recommends The Last Sentinel from 2023. Set in a dystopian future where climate change has destroyed most of civilization, a group of volunteer soldiers charged with defending the crossing between the last two landmasses on Earth, with nothing but an aging field gun and a nuclear bomb, which may or not be destroy all life on the planet if it's used, become suspicious of each other when the supply ship meant to be carrying their replacements turns up abandoned and adrift.
Interesting.
Uh-oh. That sounds like a lot could go wrong there.
This also makes me think of one that I didn't include on here, but it's a movie I saw recently, or saw this summer or the spring when it came out. Mickey 17. Maybe
Oh,
not quite
sure.
horror.
Yeah.
It's more like
Sci-fi
spoof
comedy.
or farce or yeah,
Yeah.
dark comedy.
Half Price Horror recommends Chompy and the Girls from 2021. A genre-defying genre film that's sadly underseen, they say, with a fantastic cast and a blend of existential humor and existential horror. Let's see,
Interesting.
Chompy and the Girls. What's it
Not
about?
heard of this at all.
Oh dear. This looks wild. A troubled woman meets her father for the first time, and their encounter goes from awkward to alarming when they witness a man swallow a little girl whole.
Whoa.
Yep,
Wow.
exactly that.
Okay. All right.
Exactly that.
That's a great log line. I love it. Intrigued.
OK Panic recommends Night House. A widow discovers a dark secret about the house she's recently deceased husband built after she finds his suicide note that says, "You were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You're safe now."
Convincing.
Uh-oh.
Night House comes up a lot on our Patreon.
Yeah.
What do you want to see for our live
Yeah.
streams? So
I want to live in a escape the room murder house.
I want to
Post
live in a
apoc
house where
apoc.
there's nothing after me and everything's fine and I'm safe now.
That sounds fucking dope.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I'm putting on my tombstone, I think. Weaponized Toaster recommends Shadow of God from 2025.
Hmm.
While performing an unauthorized exorcism on his father, uh-oh, well, that's going to get messy.
Yep.
An elite exorcist suspects the entity he is battling with might be a holy being, perhaps even God.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Who are you talking to now? God. And they also want to add in The Ugly Stepsister. I actually watched this just last week. It's pretty darn good. It is a retelling of the Cinderella story told from the point of view of one of the ugly stepsisters.
I just heard about
Very,
this movie. Yes.
very, I think it's Danish or Swedish. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Swedish, maybe. Uh, Very body horror.
It's fascinating.
I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I heard it was fun.
Max Bird recommends Resurrection from 2022. A woman's carefully constructed life is upended when an unwelcome shadow from her past returns, forcing her to confront the monster she's evaded for 2 decades. That sounds real vague.
Uh-huh.
That's like a story about a woman who meets something, who reminds her of something
Yep.
she did once.
Uh-huh.
Could be anything. Monstrum recommends Love Lies Bleeding, which I've not seen this. I'm really curious about it. I don't know if this is a horror or an action or a drama, but let's see. A reclusive gym manager falls in love with an ambitious bodybuilder, culminating in a messy tale of violence, drugs, and family secrets. Not sure if horror, but horrifying, if it makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, this seems like it's a Kristen Stewart
Uh-huh.
drama, but it does look intense.
Yeah.
And Sandra recommends A Wounded Fawn. A serial killer brings an unsuspecting new victim on a weekend getaway to add another body to his ever growing count. Contains many artistic and surreal moments.
Interesting. Interesting, interesting.
And finally, Fifth Hammer recommends The Empty Man. Retired cop James. Wait, did we watch The Empty Man
For
for
Patreon,
for
right?
Patreon?
Yeah, I think we have
We
Empty
done did
Man.
that one.
That's
That
the
was a good
blow in
one.
the bottle on the bridge one. Is
Yeah,
that
that's right.
okay? We did that.
Like, I don't know, pray to death. Death will
Mm-hmm.
come to you.
Think so. Yeah. Why would we do that?
Yeah, I don't know, just for fun.
Sure.
Listen,
Okay. So it feels like from the letterboxed folks, the biggest support is going to be for the substance and for I saw the TV glow. I think probably I would definitely call Jane Schoenbrun's movies on horror of ennui, and I think there is an existential horror strongly
mhm, mhm.
throughout what they're making. So I saw the TV glow definitely fits that really well. I think there's something about the substance
I
though
know.
that I'm like having just come off of Magic as well, wherein we
Yes.
saw a thoughtful movie
Yes.
that's
So it's
exploring the
so
human
quiet.
condition.
It's almost on PBS.
Yes,
I kind of want to let it all hang out.
I kind of do too. I'm kind of in the mood for the substance
And
because
also
it's
it's
so
been like
wild.
it's been almost like a full year since I've seen it. So now is when kind of I like to revisit something that, you see something, it gets very popular, let the hype die down, then watch it again and see how you feel, and get to talk about it with you all.
Yeah, because we're far enough away from it that we don't have to have a hot opinion about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was when we did Sinners, we watched it opening weekend, and it just had been in a constant state of panic because it's like the week after was when everyone started
Everyone
talking
had a
about.
fucking take about it. Yeah.
And anytime I ran into somebody, they're like, "It's incredible, it's perfect, isn't it?" And I'm like, "I
It's like,
don't want to have this conversation right now because it's very good."
it's very good, but we have
And
already broken this down.
but yeah, nothing is perfect.
No.
Please, but I want you. I'm so happy for your sugar high,
Hmm.
and let's
Hmm.
all go have a nap, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about the movie because
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
No,
Um,
I think the substance is the right way to go.
yeah, I
It's
love
time.
it. I love having a year off to let the hype die down and talk about it, because I love this movie.
Same.
All
Same.
right, well, we did it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. And if you have thoughts on Magic or ideas for other movies that would have been good 2020's existential horror, let us know at Random Horror 9. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Patreon by that handle. And those Patreon posts, we have public discussion threads for each episode, and you don't have to be a paying member to participate in those. So watch The Substance 2024 with us this week and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no fuckboys faking their telepathy or nothing. Boo.
Boo, schmuckos.